Hello, everybody. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Georgianna.
And this is Wholehearted Loving, where we teach you simple tools to grow the muscles you need to be with big feelings and overwhelming sensations in your body.
Whether you have active challenges in your life or relationships, or whether you're just here to learn to be kinder to yourself, we pull out all the little things that make life feel better, the things that give you a sense of hope and direction.
So if you're too hard on yourself or on others,
if you want to feel real, deep connection in your life and relationships,
even if you want to reprogram your inner critic while you're sleeping,
this is a great place to be.
So welcome, and we hope this episode brings you just the tidbit you needed today.
Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about whether you can let anybody win with you or if you're difficult and like to point out everything that's wrong. Da, da, da.
I used to belong to that club and have like a VIP membership to that club.
Yes, I'm still enrolled, but I've learned so much.
Yes. Actually, I had two memberships. I had the membership to that club and the membership to, no, everything's fine. You're great. You're amazing.
Right.
Right. And then depending on the day and depending on who it was and how much I wanted them to like me, I might switch up my membership pass that I show you.
Indeed. It's like we got a bunch of passports depending on the persona we're being today.
Yes.
All right.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So you'll be able to find self-reflection prompts for this episode and every episode on our Instagram at Wholehearted Loving. And you can learn more about us and how to practice with us live at wholeheartedloving.com. And I think we're going to do some bobblehead self-connection practices this morning. Or maybe now we're sprinting. What are your hands up to there? Well,
initially, I felt that I needed to move my neck. And maybe you feel that need. And if you do, follow that need. And then I was reminded of these bobblehead cats that I used to see on Chinese altars, at my house and aunt's house and little shops in Chinatown. Mm-hmm. And I really hope that if I'm offending anybody right now, because those cats have some significance that I'm not aware of, that's not the intention. But I just think they're cute. And this is the body. Are they? Okay.
Welcoming money.
Well, I feel very wealthy right now doing this. Right. So we figured that the body connection practice today is be your own bobblehead, whatever kind of bobblehead you want to be. Right. And that was sort of what was alive in the moment. And then what it emerged into by the time, we said our beginning podcasty stuff, it became this, which you thought might be sprinting and running. But what I associated to was He-Man and She-Ra and all those plastic toys that we used to have with those arms that go a certain way,
Okay. So I think of He-Man and She-Ra apparently as real people.
And that says a lot about us also.
Yeah. This is like Barbie not being able to reach for anything.
Yeah, this is also Barbie to me. They all fall into the same category. G.I. Joe, same thing.
Yeah.
Plastic. I think one time we got to do a Barbie and see. Oh my gosh. So this practice is about following impulse, right? Do you ever not, your body feels it wants to do something and then it leads you to some other connection and it doesn't really make any sense. I don't know what's happening right now. It doesn't really make any sense, but are you willing to go with it and just let silliness ensue? Because that's what's happening here.
It's happening. Because this is reminding me of that wonderful game that you brought over called Why Are You Like This?
Oh, yeah, yes.
We played it maybe a week later, me, Amanda, Kara, and Jake.
Oh, did you? Did you guys buy it? You bought it?
I bought it, yeah.
Okay.
The clue, and this is the most, and I can do this for myself now, I realize, and it's still hilarious. You can gesture, but you have to use your partner's hands. So poor Amanda had to gesture beaver tail using my hands. And so she's like, and this is what it's making me think. The plastic one-piece hands. That's quite entertaining for me.
Yes, I love it. So this is an example of reliving a moment that was pleasant and fun. And it's a reminder that this isn't happening anymore. We're not playing that game. None of those people are here other than you, right? And yet you can bring yourself back to such delight. And it's such a great reminder that we're usually more skilled and practiced in bringing ourselves back to some memory and body experience that's difficult. Right. And all of a sudden on a random one, what day is it? It's a Wednesday today, random Wednesday, you get to have this like sweet laugh moment. And I get to remember what it was like to play that game with you. And I remember I literally feel like I peed my pants laughing.
And
Right.
all this because you're impersonating the cats that you see in stores. And you just decided to take a moment to do that. And now here we are.
This is almost like positive word association, right? Yeah. Whereas most of us are conditioned to play the game of negative thought association. They're like, let's go from one hard thought to another hard thought to a bigger hard thought. And let's play that game all day long. I don't want to play that game anymore, right? Sometimes I'm called into the game and I'm very good at it. I'm a very good game player of negative thought game playing. But what I love now is I also have access to all these more pleasurable and pleasant games that I know how to play. And it's all through practice.
Yeah.
Right? All through practice.
And so guess how your life has changed since you learned to play happy games. This is not rocket science, you know?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, when we say happy games, like, this is not about suppressing all that's not okay. It's about not every moment of my life needs to be spent reliving things that are hard. Actually, in fact, probably not very many need to be reliving that. It already happened.
You can add some joy.
Add some joy. Add some play. Be a cat. I don't know. Be Hera. She-Man.
I was going to go Hera and She-Man. I love it. So this is actually completely linking back to what we're talking about. Because we're talking about, can people win with you?
Yeah.
Or are you always going to go back to the negative thoughts? Can you win with yourself? Or are you always going to fall back into these negative thought patterns?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm having a moment of joy. Well, I better remember that crappy thought that I was having earlier.
Yes. Okay. And if you fall and you're a lifetime member of that club, that's okay. And it's actually quite understandable and normal because, you know, we have a lot of conditioning that says, I know that energy. I know the frequency of that energy. Let's bring myself back there. Let's hang out there. We actually don't have that much practice being in the frequency of joy and ease and flow and lightness. And so it's about practice. It's about practice and rewiring the system, right? To bring on, and this is really essential, I think, for this episode. The critical part of us, the part that sees the things that are not working and do not feel good, is essential. You do not want to live without a good relationship to that part of you, without a good connection to that skill. You also don't want to live with that part of you running the show all of the time in every situation with every person you interact with, especially the people you claim to want deep, healthy connection with and love with, right? So this topic came to mind because I had a moment in my relationship, you know, watching my person do something for me or do something like it's a mundane task. I don't know what it was. And I noticed myself, like, I wasn't in full on hypervigilant scanning because I know that experience as well. And I'm not often in that anymore, I think, at all, but I used to be. It was almost like a game. Like, what can I find that's wrong about this moment, this person? And I'm going to point it out. When I was using that membership pass, and I noticed maybe he was doing something that didn't make sense to me, or maybe I thought, I don't like doing it that way. I don't really know. But what came to me in that moment is that really what you want to focus on right now? Out of everything that's happening, out of whatever he's doing that's super helpful and very kind and very thoughtful, do I really want to bring the focus to that thing, that element? And what popped into my mind is, do I let people win with me? Right? Or am I always out there ready to point out what's not working, what's not good, what could be better? What is the energy of that I'm bringing in and infusing into the moment when it wasn't needed? It wasn't called for. No one said, this is what we need in this moment right now with this person. But my old conditioning might say, this is what we need. This is how we stay safe. This is how we get what we want in relation. This is how we don't lose ourselves, is to point out all the little things that are not okay or not great or not the same as how you would like them to be. And I was noticing, like, am I sort of always ready to look for the 0.1, the 0.01 that isn't just right and point that out? And can I save that skill set for when it's called for and needed? Because sometimes it is, right?
Yeah.
And can I recognize in each moment whether it's that kind of situation or not? Can I see the difference between a situation that doesn't call for that level of scrutiny and situations that do call for it? And it made me realize that so many of us claim, myself included, claim to want easeful relationships and fulfilling relationships and aligned relationships and deep connection where we can just both be ourselves and both be human. Yet, like, there's someone essentially wanting to electric zap you every time you do something that's a tiny misstep, quote unquote. Right. And so the question that I presented to Steph as we were, talking about this topic was, how fun and easy to be with am I? And I also knew immediately as those words came out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, some people can get really triggered by that. And especially I think women, like being a woman myself, if someone years ago would have said, how easy and fun are you to be with? I would have been like, screw you, right? Like we've already been like conditioned to think that we have to be easy, fun, beautiful, like needless. So the last thing I want to do is care about whether I'm easy and fun to be with. But this is not about pretzeling yourself to be some version of yourself that you're not, to be palatable. It is not about that. This is about noticing for yourself, discerning for yourself. Could this be a moment of lightness and connection and easeful flow that I am now injecting some other kind of energy here that's not necessary? And does this make the other person feel like they can ever win with you? Like that's the difference, right? And I work with, I'm sure every human being falls into this, but I have seen over and over in like the 20 plus years I've worked with people, I do see this pattern. And I know that it comes from a good place. I know that it comes from a fear place. I know that it comes from a self-protection place. And I have been that person, right? So this is not about shaming it. It's just about noticing, hey, is this me in that pattern right now? And do I want to continue in this next moment to be in that pattern? And if you do, it's totally okay, right? It's not that that's bad, but we want you to know that you're in it.
Yeah.
Know that you're in it with some compassion, and then choose whether you want to stay in it or shift it. And if you're not ready to shift it, if you're pissed off, if you're hurt, if you're whatever, then maybe those parts of you need some loving kindness first before you're able to even consider whether you want to shift it.
Hang on, I want to say also, it doesn't necessarily need to be fear-based or be this big thing. It can just be the cause of us not paying attention, right? We're just running old patterns, and we're all running patterns all the time unless we're paying attention to the pattern we're running and choosing a different path.
Yeah.
I want to speak a bit to the subconscious reasons that we're doing this, because we're all kind of doing this. And one of them is anxious displacement, right? We're in relationship with a person. Instead of feeling comfortable being in the moment, being in your body, being in this space with this person, we displace some maybe physical or mental anxiety onto nitpicking and pointing out problems, right? But I think probably more than that, or probably part of that, is this is basic programming from our usually mothers or the people who've raised us, the people whose job is to help us figure out how to do life, to share their own lessons with us. Here's how you do things. Like, by the way, this is how this is technically done. You don't know that because you're 6 months old, you're 2 years old. I'm teaching you how the world works. So we take on that pattern of behavior, and then unconsciously we're going around letting people know how things are and how they ought to be doing things, because that's just kind of what we got used to. Doesn't mean you're bad or wrong. It's just like, hey, what are you doing and why are you doing it? And how do you want to feel? One more thing.
Yeah.
I swung so far in the other direction. This is also worth noticing, right? My mother is very full of ideas about how things need to be done, to the point where I was just like, guess what? I don't want to hear a single piece of advice ever. And everyone can do whatever the hell they want, because I'm not telling anyone what to do ever. Free for all. Yeah. So my work then is to notice what I actually do want and what actually feels good to me, and then to discern and narrow my focus instead of just everyone do what you want.
Yes. And this happens often where we're like, I didn't enjoy that experience growing up with my parent, and so I need to swing in the opposite direction. And like, great, you swung in the opposite direction. You got a chance and opportunity to grow that muscle. And then at some point, if you're paying attention and you bring some self-compassion into the picture so that you can pay more attention, you might realize, actually, this doesn't really work either. Like, this puts me in other situations that are not helpful, aligned, or healthy, right? To never feel that you can tell somebody what your preference is and what you need and what's not working is also not helpful.
Yeah.
Right. So you had a different muscle to grow. And, I want to come back to nitpicking. One of the interesting things about nitpicking is a moving of energy. And energy gets to get out of your system through the nitpicking. So what is that energy like? What needs to move out of you? What kind of fight energy? Nitpicking is like a low grade fight energy, right? So what is that showing you lives inside you, fight energy wise, that hasn't had a chance to complete and move through you, where you might truly feel that certain needs are not being met here. There's a level of misattunement here that doesn't feel good. And instead of addressing that openly and clearly, I am channeling that fight energy that feels that that's not okay into nitpicking, right? Because that could be a thing too.
And that's why it can feel so big. Even though a nitpick can be tiny or a passive aggressive comment can be small and quiet, the energy of it can feel enormous depending on what's trapped inside.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know. It reminded me of like dandelions. You like pick off dandelions and they just grow some more because you didn't get to the root. Like, what is really underneath the ground there?
Yeah.
And you can nitpick all you want. They might even change imagine being with someone who's like, okay, I'll change all the things that you nitpick me about. You'll still never be finished. The dandelions will still grow back because there's something else going on, right? What did I want to say here? Winning. The pattern that I saw a lot for decades was men, and these were good men. I could feel their heart. I could feel their good intention. I'm not saying they did everything perfect, right? And I'm not putting blame on women, but a pattern I really saw was these men having this felt sense, this lived experience that they can never get anything right. And to see a man who I could feel really loves this woman and really cares about his family, and really, to the best of his ability, is trying, even though maybe sometimes it's true. The best of our ability sometimes still isn't good enough, right? Co-create something that feels good for both people. I'm not denying that. But what would be happening is they would just lose steam. Like, the phrase I heard so often was, what's the point? What's the point of trying? She can do it so much better than me. What's the point of trying? Right? And if this were not a man saying it, but a child saying it, yeah. What's the point of trying? I can never get it right. They always point out what I do wrong. Almost all of it could have been great, and they point out that tiny piece that I didn't do quite just right. It's deflating.
Yeah.
It's not just deflating. It ruptures the relationship, and it strengthens a self-identity of I'm not capable and competent, right? And it taints the relationship with, we're never going to feel like a team. I'm never going to feel good enough for you. And one parenting phrase I read, I think it was by the author Jane Nelson. She said, where did we get the idea that in order to get someone to do better, we first have to make them feel worse? And that hit me hard as a mother of young children. I was like, I lived this as a kid. I lived this in the corporate world. It doesn't work.
Nope.
Right? It is not an ingredient that leads to health, right? Healthy relationships, healthy people. And so this is not about excusing bad behavior. This is not about not speaking up when things are not okay. But this is being willing to look at, do I point out the things that are decent and pleasant and good? Or am I always on the lookout and only pointing out the things that aren't working? Right? Just noticing that. You don't even have to change it yet if you don't want to. But just tracking what's happening here in this moment, right? My dad, bless you, Dad, when you listen to this, he is excellent. And I actually have this in me too. I'm a projector in human design. I wonder what my dad is, but my gift is to see what doesn't work, right? My dad has that gift brilliantly to see what doesn't work very quickly. And in much of his career, one of the skills that was very important for him to possess was the ability to see what wasn't working and to shift it and fix it. And what I witnessed happening as a child is he would take that skill set and let it lead in the household at home. So a skill set that was very important for him to use at work, right? The success of his work depended on him being able to really live out that ability of finding what's not working, the tiny minuscule thing that doesn't work, make it known and make it clear, and then suggest something different. When you bring that into your human, your family relationships, your intimate relationships, and you lead that way all of the time, it doesn't foster togetherness. It doesn't foster closeness and connection, right? Your family members, your partner, your children do not want a quality control person as their mother, as their father, as their sister or brother or partner. We didn't sign up for that. If we wanted that, we would go and we could seek that out. But I've never seen, and let's just use a dating profile. I've never seen on someone's dating profile that they are requesting a quality control person. We don't want that in our lives, right? We want to feel good about ourselves. We want to feel that our contribution is seen. We want to be with someone that sees the good in us enough and trusts us to grow and change enough that they want to encourage us. They want to lift us up. They want to point out what we're doing well and then support us in the things that feel hard for us still, that we're not very practiced in yet, but still believe that I possess the possibility to grow in this area.
Yeah. Man, I'm imagining people listening to this and seeing themselves reflected. And then I'm imagining my old self that was not the most compassionate or helpfully straightforward, and that I might have then just started generating a lot of positive comments for my partner in a way that might have been, true, but a bit disingenuous or a bit sneaky repair. I'm going to change the way I am and make everything better. And I think what I'd like to say to my previous version of myself and to anyone who can relate to that is that it's a good opportunity to make a connection and say like, hey, I noticed something about myself and it's not how I want to show up in relationships.
Yes,
And what
so
I'm going to try to
powerful.
do moving forward is a bit more of this and maybe a bit less of that. And like, I want you to know that's important to me.
Like I feel that on my insides. I'm like, wow. Imagine if someone had the courage to say that to you. They haven't changed a thing yet, but they're revealing to you something they noticed within themselves and a desire that they have and an intention that they have, right? I noticed something about the way I show up in these situations. And that's not actually how I want to show up. And I'm going to be practicing that. And it might look silly, sound clunky, feel weird. But I just want you to know that I want something different for us, right? And if someone is mean to you when you say that, that's very good information. Very good information. You want to have that information. When you can come from such an authentic, vulnerable, tender, heart open place, and someone brings meanness and criticism, you want to know that. I don't wish that upon you, but you actually want to have that information, right? So, yes, I would think that's such a gift if someone was willing to say that to me, right? And notice, this is sometimes where you get someone who is willing to be this vulnerable, and this is how this pattern comes into play again. Well, you say that, but
can't win with me. Jesus.
You said that before.
That's so painful because they're just protecting themselves. We're all just protecting ourselves.
Yes, right? That person wants deep connection too, but they're just afraid and they're just wondering, can I trust you? But instead of saying, wow, I would love that so much. Yeah. That would be so meaningful to me to see you working on that part. And part of me feels scared, right? Because people have promised me things in my life and haven't always come through. And I feel very tired of feeling let down and disappointed. And there is a part of me that wants to believe and trust. And so I'm going to practice tapping into that part and let you do your thing in practice. Right? Then you have a very different moment there between two people.
That vulnerability and that openness is so much more impactful than the getting it right.
Right? I want to share this piece too. I think something you said made me think of it. Is sometimes we might be scanning for that 0.01. That's not good. That's not the way we like it. And now we might have conditioned ourselves to just not say it out loud, but energetically it's still there, and people feel energy and you feel energy, and that energy courses through you. Even if you don't care if other people feel that energy, you have to feel it. You have to feel that irk, right? And you carry that irk. And now not only do you carry the irk, you carry that feeling of having to hold it in because you think you should.
Because
right?
it's irk. So I want to clarify that you can have that thought feeling and not hold it, right? So like if somebody's putting my dishes away in some weird way that doesn't make sense to me.
That's me. That's me.
Right.
When I come to your house, dishes are in a pile.
I'm just so happy that anybody's doing my dishes. So my brain will still go, that doesn't go there. What are you? Okay. And it's immediately gone. Like it's not a thing that I'm holding or actually irked by. Thoughts we have, things we notice, do not need to define us. And you might notice by saying out loud or acknowledging to yourself that you're not actually carrying a charge about it. It was just a thought and now it's gone.
Yes. And now it's gone because I didn't add more to it. Right. And I didn't choose to hold on to it, make it bigger. Right. Like you're essentially saying, that's weird. Why is she putting that there? And oh my gosh, she's doing my dishes.
It's so
That's
nice.
so nice. Right. So if you want to be able to be and live a little bit more in a peaceful, easeful, delighted energy in life, joyful, not necessarily even all the time. That'd be a weird existence. Is that real? But just more often than now, practice what Stephanie's talking about here of just notice the thought. Say it out loud. Don't shame yourself for it. I had it. That's fine. Right? See if you can see what's shiny about the moment. And that's this thing of choosing which lens you're looking through. Right? You notice a thought, you're like, it's there. Then you let it go. And then you very quickly put on that lens that says, wow, my friend is doing my dishes for me. Most of the time, I have to do all my dishes by myself. Or some friends come over and they do no dishes, right? How cool is that? And all of a sudden, we're practicing a different lens. And that lens doesn't give that irk feeling, right? That gives a delighted feeling. That gives a grateful feeling.
And I don't know that I can convey to you how much my inner experience was of irks in the past and like how tightly controlled that then needs to be. Like, oh, just nobody do my, no, it's fine. I'll get to that. Like, please don't do it because I don't want you to put my dishes in a weird place. Like, and all of it just unconsciously clenching and running the show completely. And like, and that's gone. Like, you can get rid of all this. You don't need to carry that. We're talking about simple body practices and some self-connection stuff that like has liberated me from that completely. It's totally doable.
Yeah, because now it allows you to practice receiving help and support, right? And also it allows you to have more time spent in connection instead of I've got to ward off everybody because nobody can do things the way I want them to. And I sort of had a little internal laugh because as you were speaking, I was remembering when we first met. And, last episode, I think you talked about, maybe it was this one, I can't remember. Nobody messes with you, right? Because you don't give that opening. You don't draw in that energy. But also, I used to believe this about you of, oh, Stephanie doesn't like people, right? And like that is in part, that energy I felt was, I think, and correct me if I'm not right about this, but like, because like, it's like, I need things so much a certain way. There's so much irk in me because I don't know how to see it through a different lens. I don't know how to let an irk thought just be an irk thought without making it bigger. That now I need to put up walls and exude an energy that people think I don't like people.
I was a fortress. And just quietly trying to help everyone as much as possible in the background and looking scary. Yeah. I love people. I love all the different types of people. I love all the weirdnesses and quirks and similarities and hidden stuff. And it's nice.
And I think something in our friendship, it's revealed to me, is that I think you exuded this like sharper lockdown energy on the outside, but like had so much softness inside of loving people and caring. And I was the opposite. Like my outer self was, I'm sweet, I'm nice and all this stuff. And that's true. Like, it's not that that's not true. And it's not that it's fake. It's just, I didn't let the parts of me that felt irked ever really come out. Right. And like be spoken and be clear about what doesn't work for me. Like I had to grow that muscle. And that's why I talk about at the beginning of this episode, I had 2 membership passes to both clubs, depending on who you were in my life and which category I put you in. Right. So certain people fell into the category of, I'm going to point out everything that isn't right. And then other people were put in the category of, you could do no wrong in my world.
Yeah.
And neither one is truthful,
Yeah.
right? I'm just hopping from side to side. And no wonder you have this dead inside feeling. I had a dead inside feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So anyways,
Thanks, Chi.
how do you want to sharpen that tool of yours, grow that muscle of yours to start seeing the good in people's efforts and intentions? Can you practice naming it, even just to yourself first, of some element of it that was good? And this is the thing. You and I always talk about balance and duality, right? The light and the shadow, these kinds of things. It's not about not pointing out what's not working. The thing is, you're already very good at that. You don't need to practice it more.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you might have turned it into an unconscious way of connecting that inadvertently doesn't feel very good for anyone. There's a lot of, like misery loves company. It's pretty common for people to commiserate together, to not know how to connect over delightful, pleasant, innocuous, decent things. So, you might be a positive team player who is able to make, point out lots of good things, but you might also default to commiserating in that way, or injecting, optional misery where there doesn't need to be any. And just noticing that about yourself can be a pretty big deal and a pretty transformative situation.
Yes. I want to name this. If you look at my dual memberships, right? It's like a dual citizenship to these two different lands. I actually had the skill set of looking for what's good, but I compartmentalized it and reserved it for these types of relationships and these.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not even that I didn't have that skill set. Like, I just now want to bridge to, what about with these people in these situations? Could I also practice using some of that skill here?
Yeah.
Right. And I also already possess the skill of being like critical and like finding the things that aren't working. Right. And can I take that skill set and bridge it and bring it over to these relationships a little bit more, so that I feel in all types of relationships in my life, I have choice at any given moment to discern which pieces are important to bring in.
Yeah.
Right. Which skill set to bring in. And sometimes it's not one or the other. Sometimes it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes it's like learning how to say, this is working for me, this part is not. Right. Our previous episode was all about that. I need more of this and I've had enough of that. We want to be able to touch on both. But here specifically, our invitation to you is just to start observing the pattern. Do you let people win with you? And how does that show up? What's happening? If the camera were in your home watching and listening to how you respond to things happening with another human being, would it capture you letting someone win with you? Would the other person report, right? And of course, another person's report is dependent on so many more variables than just this. But like, you get the point. Like, does a person feel like they can win with you?
Yeah.
Like, I would love to have like someone just do a little, like, those survey people that come to your door. If someone just said, hey, everybody in Georgianna's life, could I just take, 2 minutes of your time and we just go through a little survey? Do you feel like you can win with her? Like, not that she thinks everything you do is fantastic, but do you feel like there's a chance to win? There's a chance to feel like you've done well in her eyes relationally with her, or just done well in your own life in her eyes. I would hope that the results are more skewed towards yes. Right? And then ultimately, I would hope if they asked follow-up questions, do you also feel that she's willing to tell you when something's not okay? Right? And then maybe it's a follow-up question. Do you also notice that she has the ability and willingness to tell you that in a way that helps you still feel connected to her? Right? That's what I'm striving for. Do I do it well all the time? No. But that is my vision and my hope. And that is what I hope other people get to experience with me.
Yeah. Something you and I have been talking about a lot in the last couple of days is like realms of work. So what you're describing, this balanced thing, if people were talking to my teammates and coworkers, it would be, solid. If you want to talk to my ex-boyfriend, he would disagree. So where this stuff comes up, chances are good you've got a skill set like this in some compartment of your life, and it's just not translating to the others. And typically these sorts of things come up for us in primary partnership, in relationship. That's where I'm going to call it the confusion sets in, right? Where the programming takes over in a less helpful way. In a professional context, we often have an easier time, establishing boundaries, speaking truth, representing ourselves accurately, being kind and balanced while being able to point out things that aren't working. So you probably have that skill set in some area of your life, and it's an opportunity to translate it to other areas of your life.
Yeah, right. And like I always like to help remind people every pattern you're in is just a skill, right? And so the pattern you would like to shift more into is just a collection of skills. You are a very skillful person on this planet. You have learned a lot of skills over the course of your life. These are just another set of skills,
Just another
right?
set of skills. So I'm realizing as we're recording this, I think this episode will be coming out on October 5th. So it's probably a good time to mention that you and I are going to be running level 1 of conscious relationship training, which is all about this, having a conscious relationship to yourself, your patterns, your behaviors, and how that unfolds in your primary partnerships, in your work life. It's an online 10-week in-depth training where we're going to get into the shadow elements of what we're doing and why we're doing it and where that might be blocking you from having these lovely, wholehearted, fulfilling relationships that we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. And it's always just been a thing available to people who physically live in the Vancouver area in Canada. And we get the opportunity now to share that with the world. Yeah. Wherever you live, you get to experience this and practice this with us. And with a lot of love and care, you and I have always made it very important that if you want to look at your shadow side, you have to be willing to bring some compassion and softness. And if you don't have that compassion and softness in you yet, that's okay. We're helping bring that element so that you don't have a nervous system freak out, because nervous system freakouts aren't conducive to learning and growing and healing, right? So we bring in the body-based tools that help us see ourselves a little more clearly so that we can see our patterns with more compassion and a little more clearly, and we can be more intentional about which patterns we want to just leave the way they are for now and which ones you might want to begin practicing shifting.
Yeah.
So
in conscious relationship training, we cause those patterns to arise in real time so that we can work with them in a way that will be most true to your relationships. And then we can customize ways for you to respond to what you notice coming up within you. And it's going to be November 1st will be the first session. So I'll link something below, but 10 Saturdays starting November 1st with a little break over Christmas.
Yes, I'm excited. So if you feel ready or sort of curious and terrified to look at your patterns a little more closely, to practice shifting them, right? With some love and care and support of people who really get it. And this stuff changed our lives. Like I can absolutely say those 12 weeks, we're doing a 12-week version, but the 12 weeks when you and I did that absolutely changed our lives. And I love the way we use this work in our lives. And what I mean by that is I think I have a very unique way of taking intellectual conceptual teachings and looking for ways in my practical life to practice it in an easy way. And that's why, I mean, the work itself is transformative, but like, I like to think that like, man, I found a way where I can take what happens every week in session and find something simple to practice in my life that week that helps me already start shift that thing that at one point was just an intellectual awareness and oh, well, that would be nice if I could shift that pattern, but how?
You've really anchored it into practical stuff. These are like heady consciousness type concepts that can really live in the mind, but you figured out really simple ways that I'm very excited to share with people.
Yes.
Wee! Mind blown.
Wee! Let's do that. That's the body practice. Wee! It reminds me of swinging in a swing as a little kid and that feeling, or like a roller coaster. If you like roller coasters of, wee! I remember at Playland, there were the Dumbo elephants. Do you remember?
I do.
And you sat in them and they sort of went up and down just enough to make your stomach sort of drop. And it's like, wee!
I love wee. Soraya calls it wee me. She wants to be swung in the laundry basket, and she calls it wee me.
Wee me. Oh, I like that. I want someone to wee me.
Wee.
Yeah, there's certain sounds, I think. And I think there's a general collection of sounds, but of course, we all have our specific sounds that we can make that are personal to us that bring a good feeling.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, let's bring that back into our lives. What kind of sounds are fun for you? They bring you back to happy places. One of mine is this. And what it reminds me of is motorboat, something, something, something in the swimming pool. Did you ever do swimming lessons?
I did, but I don't remember that.
Yeah. And you're trying to blow bubbles in the water and it makes that sound. Yeah. Yeah.
The thought of being in a swing. So something I've learned about myself in the last few years is I can't do rides or swings anymore. They make me motion sick, and I used to love them. My favorite ride at Playland was the swings, but I can still remember the feeling of it. And spending, like, the good feeling, the unnauseated, uplifted feeling, spending a moment in that energy is like, this is just simple, tiny magic. You can completely shift what you're experiencing in a moment by thinking about something else, like being on a swing.
Yes. Are you willing to let yourself win the moment? Right. And like a lot of us like don't love these terms, win, lose, whatever. Okay. But like the essence of what we're saying is, are you willing to allow yourself to experience something pleasant just for a moment? Why not?
Why not?
All the other hard stuff's still going to be there anyways.
Yeah. It's also great to notice if not. Like, if your answer is no, like, I'm not willing to feel that way in the moment, then also let that be true and just notice. Like, that's, to me, that feels kind of serious and like something to genuinely give yourself compassionate attention about.
Yes. Permission to be grumpy and grumbly and not want to feel pleasant. It matters, right? Now, if you check in with yourself and the answer predominantly every day, all day long, all the time is no, that's very good information to have, right? That's a very good thing to become curious about. What is happening in my life? What has happened to me? What am I doing with the impact of those experiences where I can never connect to the feeling, the desire of wanting to feel something a little bit pleasant or experience a little reprieve? Doesn't mean you're bad or wrong or you're doomed to believe this or feel this and only want this for the rest of your life. It's just maybe be curious about it in a bit of a different way, in a new way of what is happening, what happened, and what is my skill set to be with that? And could growing my skill set to be with that perhaps give me the opportunity to have a bit of a different desire once in a while?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's shoulds that are repressing you, if it's shoulds, like, oh, well, things are, hard in the world right now. There's bad things happening. So I shouldn't enjoy a moment of permission to be happy. I'm going to suggest that you should do what we're telling you right now, which is to pretend you're on a swing for 10 seconds and allow yourself to enjoy that sensation.
Well, this is a really important key, probably like something that deserves a whole episode or a few on their own, but there's certain things that are just happening or have happened right in this moment. You and I sitting in our living rooms, we're not changing that right in this moment. So if that's the case, if nothing's changing and I have to live through this moment anyways, wouldn't it be more pleasant to have a little reprieve or a little bit of joy or something, right? And further to that, if what matters to you is to be able to make a difference in the world, whether on a small scale or a bigger scale, the more you can connect to reprieve and joy, the more you have inner resources to do good in the world. So I don't believe that making ourselves feel crappy all day long, all the time, is the answer to the world is going through hard things right now. Yeah, it's about having an honor and respect for what's hard and the people going through hardship and looking at what can I do that either brings something good to someone else, even if it's momentarily, or what could I do to help myself be in a better regulated state so that even if I'm not actively helping people in that particular way with that hard thing, I am not causing more harm out in the world by bringing a dysregulated self everywhere I go. And perhaps you notice you're in such a hard place right now where you don't have it in you to bring more regulation to the system and to the world, then let that be okay and see if you're willing to grow your muscle of receiving. Because that's the great thing about this world is not everybody's down at the same time. And who in your life, in your world, are you willing to gift you something in this time to lift you up a little bit, to let you know you're not alone and on your own during a hard thing? I think that's how we change the world.
Yeah. Thanks, Chi-Chi.
Okay.
Okay, so we weed ourselves. Oh, that sounds like we peed our pants.
Yes. And like I get the visual of like I like pulling on the chains of the swing and like having my legs launch forward. That wee feeling. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. And to all of you, thank you guys for being here. As always, please do like, follow, and subscribe. And if anything we've said here today has been helpful for you, please share with somebody that you care about. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.